What is going on here? Here we go. A90 Supra versus M2 competition, or just a normal M2? Versus an M2. Everybody wants to know what they're going to do, and we're going to find out. Quarter mile. That was embarrassing. First run, I couldn't get launch control to work properly. Turns out you can't use launch control in manual mode, so it just wanted to try to do a burnout and then ended up just bogging down. It was terrible. I ended up with a 13.9 at 109, and the M2 got a 12.8 at 109 as well. But hopefully this time I don't make a complete fool of myself and I actually make a decent pass, because I mean Supras are supposed to all run 12s and I most certainly didn't run a 12 on that one. So let's give it another shot. So what happened on that run?
Oh, it was awesome, but I think that DCT was a bit slow from first to second. But it is
Yeah.
Run,
oh, we got one each.
I'm gonna have to get quicker on this. My reaction time, I was half.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter that much. It's more the ET. But
we can do a good video if
yeah, we'll see. We'll do one more each and then have to call it a night.
1691 on a 1687 with a double.
Hell, what is going on here? So this is going to be my last run. I've managed to screw up nearly every run so far. So this time I'm not going to do a burnout, because getting it back into launch control mode after doing a burnout and then being rushed along by the marshals, I don't want to piss everybody off by dicking around making sure it's actually launching, unless we're doing our own track day. But our best time, 12.5 so far, and every other run I've just screwed up the launch. So this time, with any luck, we'll both launch it properly, and then we'll get a decent answer from this for this question. Alright, this time I am going to just go around the burnout pad, and I'm trying it in suspension with the soft suspension setting. Just atrocious. Every freaking launch except for one. I don't know why it was playing up. And there we have it. 4 runs tonight. We experienced a few issues with our launch control. First one is that in manual mode the launch control does not work at all. So when we took off from the light, all it wanted to do was do a skid. The second run around we actually got a decent launch, and then it did a 12.5 at 111. Then the last 2 runs that we had, again, we were having all sorts of trouble with the launch control. On the very last run, the M2, it started playing up its DCT, computer cracked out, and it basically first gear, then went to change to second, it refused to even move. So both cars had a bit of a drama with their launch control tonight. The Supra, when it was right, it did quite a good job, but I don't know whether it's because I've been to the track doing circuit all day or what, but I was having real trouble getting that thing to launch properly. It's a simple equation. All you have to do is press the sport button, press the traction button, and then it should launch all right. But then that in itself was causing me issues because I'd have to go from the burnout pad where you'd have to turn the traction control all the way off, and then to get it back into launch control mode, it was being a real pain in the ass. So I don't know whether or not it's a problem with the first generation of software on this, or whether I was doing something wrong, but consistently was unable to get launch to activate properly. By the end of the night, it was saying it was active, and then when I would go to accelerate, hold brake and accelerate at the same time, it's meant to launch from 2000, but what it was doing is it was just starting at 2000 and then dropping down, and by the time I was ready to launch, the car was sitting at 1000 RPM. Then you let the brake off and it just sort of crawl off the line there. So definitely needs some work in regards to the launch on this car. But when it worked, it was good. 12.5 at 111, not too bad. Every run was consistently faster than the M2 as far as mile per hour. The M2 was, I had some 12-second runs in the M2, but every run it was 109, 108, 109 mile an hour on the M2. Earlier in the day, apparently he did get a 12.3 or 12.4, but similar mile an hour. So it's interesting to see that the Supra every time was 1 to 2 mile an hour more, which means that it probably is making slightly more power than the M2. I mean, obviously the weight would come into play a little bit as well, but interesting to see that. 111 mile an hour, I think that we can get it closer to the, 12.3 or so, but with only getting 4 runs tonight and with the launch control being an absolute pain in the ass. Unfortunately, tonight wasn't going to be the night, and by the next time we go out, we're going to probably have something on this car, maybe either some rubber or tunes, or maybe an exhaust, I don't know. But there we go, that's our baseline, 12.5 at 111. Probably could have done more. Our 60-foot times weren't all that flash. Every time was, our best was a 2-second 60-foot, but the 3 runs that didn't launch properly, our 60-foot time was 2.5 and 2.8 seconds. So not the best there, but it does go to show every run the mile per hour is about the same, so 110, 111 mile an hour. So it doesn't matter what your launch is, apparently your mile an hour is going to be the same. So that's good to see that happen. But anyway, next time we'll see you out there, where we'll do a comparison between this and a normal Supra, with an A90 Supra, so old versus new generation. But I don't know whether or not we'll have this modified by then, so I guess we'll see. Anyway, thanks very much. If you're liking our stuff, make sure you subscribe. Catch us. There's a few thousand horsepower between them all. Some of the collection, we've got an JZA80 Aero Top 6-speed twin turbo, the new A90 Supra, which is a couple weeks old, and 850 horsepower JZA80 hardtop with big single turbo and 6-speed, a Buddy's Aston Martin, an 800 wheel horsepower R32 GDR, 330 wheel horsepower i30N, and a 550 horsepower S15 nosed 180 SX with an RB26. it.